Krishna. Thank you for joining. Reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita.
Would you like to share the screen?
Yes, Prabhu. Chapter 8, titled Attaining the Supreme, verse number 14. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. Hari Om Tat Sat. Ananyacheta satatam yo mam smarati nityasaha tasyaham sulabha parda nityayuktasya yoginaha. Ananyacheta satatam yo mam smarati nityasaha tasyaham sulabha parda nityayuktasya yoginaha. Ananyacheta satatam yo mam smarati nityasaha tasyaham sulabha parda nityayuktasya yoginaha. Word to word. Ananyacheta, without deviation of the mind. Satatam, always. Ya, anyone who, ma, me, Krishna, smarati, remembers. Nityasaha, regularly. Tasya, to him. Aham, I am. Sulabha, very easy to achieve. Pardha, osana nitya, regularly. Yuktasya, engaged. Yoginaha, for the devotee. Translation by Ganga says he Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. For one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O Sanapruta, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. Little bit. For one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O Sanapruta, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. Big purport. This verse specifically describes the final destination attained by the unalloyed devotees who serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Bhakti Yoga. Previous verses have mentioned 4 different kinds of devotees: the distressed, the inquisitive, those who seek material gain, and the speculative philosophers. Different processes of liberation have also been described: Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Hatha Yoga. The principle of these yoga systems have some bhakti added, but this verse particularly mentions pure bhakti yoga without any mixture of jnana, karma, or hatha. As indicated by the word ananyacheta, in pure bhakti yoga, the devotee desires nothing but Krishna. A pure devotee does not desire promotion to heavenly planets, nor does he seek oneness with the Brahma Jyoti, or salvation, or liberation from material entanglement. A pure devotee does not desire anything. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, pure devotee is called Nishkam, which means he has no desire for self-interest. Perfect peace belongs to him alone, not to them who strive for personal gain, whereas a Jnana Yogi, Karma Yogi, or Hatha Yogi has his own selfish interests. A perfect devotee has no desire other than to please the Supreme Personality of God. Therefore, the Lord says that for anyone who is unflinchingly devoted to Him, he is easy to attain. A pure devotee always engages in devotional service to Krishna. In one of his various personal features, Krishna has various plenary expansions and incarnations such as Rama, Narasimha, and a devotee can choose to fix his mind in loving service to any of these transcendental forms of the Supreme Lord, such a devotee meets with none of the problems that plague the practitioners of other yogas. Bhakti yoga is very simple and pure and easy to perform. One can begin simply by chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The Lord is merciful to all, but as we have already explained, He is especially inclined toward those who always serve Him without deviation. The Lord helps such devotees in various ways. As stated in the Vedas, Katha Upanishad 1-2-23, Yam yevaisa vrunute tena labhyas tassaiva atma vivrunute tanum svam. One who is fully surrendered and engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord can understand the Supreme Lord as He is. And as stated in Bhagavad Gita 10.10, Dadami Buddhi Yogatam, the Lord gives such a devotee sufficient intelligence so that ultimately a devotee can attain Him in His spiritual kingdom. The special qualification of the pure devotee is that he is always thinking of Krishna without deviation and without considering the time or place. There should be no impediment. He should be able to carry out his service anywhere and at any time. Some say that the devotee should remain in holy places like Vrindavana or some holy town where the Lord lived. But a pure devotee can live anywhere and create the atmosphere of Vrindavana by his devotional service. It was Sri Advaita Acharya who told Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, wherever you are, O Lord, there is Vrindavana. As indicated by the word Satatam and Nityasa, which means always, regularly or every day, a pure devotee constantly remembers Krishna and meditates upon Him. These are the qualifications of the pure devotees for whom the Lord is most easily attainable. Bhakti Yoga is the system that the Gita recommends above all others. Generally, the Bhakti Yogis are engaged in 5 different ways. 1. Shanta Bhakta, engaged in devotional service in neutrality. 2. Dasya Bhakta, engaged in devotional service as servant. 3. Sakhya Bhakta, engaged as a friend. 4. Vatsalya Bhakta, engaged as parent. And 5. Madhurya Bhakta, engaged as a conjugal lover of the Supreme Lord. In any of these ways, the pure devotee is always constantly engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord and cannot forget the Supreme Lord. And so, for him, the Lord is easily attained. A pure devotee cannot forget the Supreme Lord for a moment. And similarly, the Supreme Lord cannot forget his pure devotee for a moment. This is the great blessings of the Krishna conscious process of chanting the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. We'll try to understand this verse, big purport. Om Ajnanatamirandas Gnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langete Grim Yat Krupa Tamaham Vande Sri Gurum Denatarina Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Isunu Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Krupa Sindhubhayeva Chapaditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Sri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Yam Dadati Swapadanti. Sri Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta-vrinda ki jai. So, we'll try to understand first this section, this particular chapter sections and how it is related from 7th chapter, and then we'll try to understand also so far what is being asked by Arjuna, because this Bhagavad Gita is question and answers. So, and then we'll get into the division of how Sri Prabhupada is divided, the purport. Then we'll try to understand, dwell in little more detail into this verse. And then if time permits at the end, we'll try to cover the Gopastami aspect of it as well. So, in this verse, first of all, this chapter is attaining the Supreme, very, very important. So, Sambandha, Videya and Prayojana. So, pure devotion service is defined by this aspect. So what is the actual ultimate goal of any practitioner? So, that defines whether he is following pure devotion service or he is following some other karma or jnana or yoga or karma mishra or jnana mishra or yoga mishra. So, we'll go into that detail. So this chapter is divided into 6 sections. First section is 1 to 4, Lord Krishna's reply to Arjuna's questions. And 5 to 8, even 1 to 8 also can be considered as Lord Krishna's reply to the 8 questions. 5 to 8 is remembering Krishna at the time of death. 9 to 13, the third section, is remembering Krishna through practice of remembering through meditation. That is Yoga Mishra Bhakti, 9 to 13, which Grace Govindanandini Mataji covered yesterday nicely, 13th verse. 14 to 16 is pure devotion, which we are discussing. So we are in 4th section of this chapter, pure devotion service, which is remembering of the Lord through bhakti. And then 17 to 22 is the 5th section, comparing material and spiritual worlds and glories of the supreme abode. Then the last section is supremacy of pure devotion in attaining Krishna. That is verse number 23 to 28. So in this way, this chapter is divided. So now, what is the link between the 7th chapter and 8th chapter? If you look at it, because Arjuna, so there Lord Krishna is ending with the verse Sa adi bodham adi daivam mam adi yajnam prayana kale te viduru yukta chetasa. So adi daivam before also jaramarana mokshaya mam asrittetam te brahma tadvidu krishnam adhyatmik karmachakram. So he is using so many technical words, 8 of them: Brahman, adi atma, adi bhuta, adi daiva, adi yajna, prayana kala. So all these are used. So then Arjuna naturally got a question. So that's why. So Arjuna is asking those questions, and immediately Lord Krishna started replying. So that's how this chapter 7 to 8 is interlinked. Because at the time of death, as Krishna is mentioning in the last verses, so that's why this attaining the supreme is the title and details about that. Now, so far Arjuna is asking, so far in this till this chapter, till this verse, there are 8 questions asked at a high level. The first question we see in the chapter 2 after Arjuna surrendered to Lord Krishna in 2.54. Arjuna is asking about the Sthita Prajna, about how he walks, how he talks, how he walks his life. So Sthita Prajnasya Kava Samadhistasya Kejo Kim Prabhasyat Kim Asit Kim Prajayat Kim. There are 3 questions, very very important. 2.54 is the first question Arjuna is asking. So that is almost like a bhakti, samadhi. The last 54 to 72 is the section, very very important section. 3-4 times this aspect of self-realization, Sthita Prajna, comes in the Bhagavad Gita. This is the first time. The second question is asked in the 3rd chapter of Karma Yoga, first and second, because even though Krishna explained everything as contents of Gita summarized in chapter 2 title, but Arjuna was bewildered and then asking Krishna, if you think that intelligence is because Lord stresses more on the using, sharpening our intelligence with the transcendental knowledge, then he was bewildered. Then that means no need to work. So it's that's what he kind of had a doubt. So that's why he is asking Arjuna, Krishna, that so if you think intelligence is better than fruity work, why are you asking me to engage in this ghastly warfare? Jaya chest karmanaste mata buddhir janardam kim karmana gore mam. So that was the 3.1 and 2. So question number 2. That's how the Karma Yoga, whole Karma Yoga, Lord Krishna explains. And then the question 3 comes in the 3rd chapter. 3rd chapter itself at the end, because as Krishna is describing, then he got a doubt. Now, why somebody is engaged in sinful activity even though he doesn't want, but still somehow as though by force. So why is it? Baladiva niyojita. Somebody is forcibly engaging him. So 3.36, that was the 3rd question. Then, so that's how it leads on to, Krishna explains in brief, this lust is situated in mind, intelligence, senses, and ego. So you must purify that. So then that's how the transcendental knowledge it connects in chapter 4. Then in that fourth question asked by Arjuna in chapter 4, the verse number 4, where even though Lord Krishna is telling that this transcendental knowledge I have given to sun god's son, Vivaswan, and then Ikshvaku, Manu, it came down. But then he said, so how can I understand this? Because you are senior by birth, he is senior by birth, Vivaswan and all of them. You are just born, that's what, just for others, not so much Arjuna understand, but this whole Bhagavad question answer is for us to give this actual real science of who Supreme Lord is, what is his position, what is his birth, what is his activity. So that was the question is asking, 4.4. Then the fifth question, the whole Krishna explains about the transcendental, about Krishna and his birth and why he comes, what happens, if you know him, what happens, what is the result of knowing him, all that Krishna is explained 1 to 10 in 4th chapter. In great detail, the 4th chapter. Then the 5th chapter, the 5th question Arjuna is asking in the 5th chapter beginning. Again he got the same doubt as in the 3rd chapter beginning. That now your instructions, is it better to do work in devotion or free from work, means renounce the work? Which one is better? Again I am bewildered. Your instructions are equivocal. I couldn't decide which one is better. Can you tell me decisively which one is better? That was the question, 5th question is asking in the 5th chapter. Karma Yoga, action and Krishna consciousness. Because Karma Yoga has been described in chapter 3 with the transcendental knowledge. Now we get a better understanding what it means, of what karma. So that then chapter 5 is more detailed on that. So that's how he asks 5th question. Then the whole chapter goes on detailing about answering that question. Then question number 6, in chapter 5 also a little bit he gives about the yoga aspect. The chapter 6 in detail is describing Hatha Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga process. In 33 to 34, 6th question, Arjuna is asking about this. Yeah, it is very difficult to, what you are describing is very chanchalam brahmati balavadrudam vayore suduskram. Very difficult to control his mind. What you are describing is impossible. Can you tell me? So and that was the question. Question number 6. Then question number 7 is in the same chapter further. Now what happens? Because this is very difficult. Obviously, to succeed in that is going to be a nightmare. So then unsuccessful what will happen to him? Is he going to be lost like a raven cloud, appear and disappear, just like that? So then what happens to that unsuccessful person? So that was the 7th question in chapter 6, verse number 37, 38, 39. Tell me, give me the knowledge so that I can understand. Remove this doubt. 37, 38, three verses talking about the same aspect. So in this, and then the 8th question is asked in this chapter, beginning of attaining the Supreme, as 6th chapter, or in the 7th, because 7th chapter and 6th chapter is connected because he explained about the Ashtanga Yoga, but at the end he talked about the topmost person is one who is thinking of him. Yoginam observation madgate antaratma. Now he talked about in brief, then he has to explain. Even though Arjuna is not asking questions, the whole chapter 7 is detailedly talking about what this madgate antaratma, how somebody can come to that position. So the Bhakti Yoga process basically. So that's how the chapter 7 begins with this Bhakti Yoga. So knowledge of the absolute. And then at the end of 7th chapter, as I described, there's 8 things Krishna is using technical words or terms. So that's why Arjuna is asking 1 and 2, 8 questions in chapter beginning. So in this way, this is how the question and answer and conversation, transcendental conversation is happening between great devotee Arjuna and Lord Krishna. Now coming back to this verse purport, Prabhupada is in high level dividing this basically in 4 divisions. The first aspect Prabhupada is mentioning the final destination of an unalloyed devotee. That's what he is mentioning. What is the final destination of unalloyed devotee? First of all, this verse is talking about first time in this Bhagavad Gita directly talking about pure devotion service. Ananya cheta satatam. So Ananya means without any deviation. So at any point of time. So that is the main cause. That's why Prabhupada is emphasizing that final destination for unalloyed and very easy to obtain. I am easily available. So Sulabha Pardha. And then it doesn't have any mixture of karma or jnana or yoga. So because in chapter 7, what Krishna explained, there are 4 types of people. Sakama bhaktas. Chaturveda bhajante mam jana sukritano arjuna artha jignasu ardhardi jnani. Four categories. What are these called? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur talks about, Prabhupada is making it much easier. He's not using technical terms, but otherwise it's the same aspect. Prabhupada condensed it from all the acharyas into simple terms in this purport. But previous acharyas explained as Pradhani Bhuta Bhakta, Pradhana Bhuta Bhakti. Bhakti there, Pradhana Bhuta Bhakti means Bhakti is a predominant quotient is there, but still they have some desires to it. So that's why there is a Karma Mishra Bhakti, Dhyana Mishra Bhakti, which is described in this 7.16th verse, Chaturveda Bhajante, where we are discussing Artha, means one who is distressed, like Gajendra, is in sadhana, sadhaka bhakti. One who is a sadhaka, there is a detail of this aspect in the Ananda Cheta, going back to reference to the other things, we will discuss in a little more. So the Gajendra is falling under this sadhana bhakti, under Sakama Bhakta, first category. And the second category is desire for knowledge, jignasu, so inquiring, inquisitive. So these are the Saunakanda, other Rishi assembled in Naimisharanya. So they all getting purified, but in the beginning, that's how the state of consciousness is. That is the second category. And the third category is desire of enjoyment in this life and next life, like wealth, artho jigna ardhardi, like Dhruva Maharaj. That is the initial state of consciousness. And the fourth category is jnani, so which is this four kumaras. So out of these, Lord Krishna, out of these, Lord Krishna is mentioning Tesham Jnani Nityayukta. This Jnani is better than the other three. Even though they are all, the first three are considered as Sakama Grihasthas. One of the Acharya Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is mentioning as Sakama Grihastha category under Pradhana Bhuta Bhakti. Bhakti is there, but still it is mixed of Karma Mishra Bhakti in these first three categories. The fourth category is Jnana Mishra Bhakti. So what will the result of this? So and then what will be the result of this Karma Mishra Bhakti, Sakama Karma? Initially when gradually they will go to the heavenly planet, and then from there as they move into Nishkama, then that will lead into the Jnana Yoga, and then from there gradually they will attain Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. People with Bhakti. Bhakti must be there as predominant. That's why it is Pradhana Bhuta Bhakti. Then they will attain Nirvana or Moksha. Then those who are engaged in this directly the Jnana platform, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, gradually they will come to the Shantarati, and then Bhava stage, and like Sanaka, Sanadana, four Kumaras. But by the exceptional mercy, Sukadeva Goswami is also in this Brahma Jnan as soon as he is born at 16 years or 17 years from Vyasadeva's wife's womb. He left, he was a Brahma Jnani, but as he heard these two verses from his disciples in the forest, they ran after him and was speaking these verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. Then immediately he became purified, and then he came back to running behind them to Vyasadeva, and Vyasadeva spoke whole Srimad Bhagavatam. So Sukadeva Goswami, by the exceptional mercy of the Supreme Lord, he became a pure devotee, Prema. He attained Prema. Started with Jnana Mishra, but he attained Prema. So this is exceptional. In general category, mostly they attain Shanta Bhakti. In this way, these four categories of people are attaining gradually. But here, in this specific aspect, Ananda Cheta means without deviation, which means no other desire, other than no other desire, like no karma, no jnana, no yoga. Because this Yoga Mishra Bhakti, as I mentioned, chapter 9 to 13 verses are described in this Yoga Mishra Bhakti. Means Ashtanga Yoga or Hatha Yoga, which means they are looking for mystic perfections. They are still looking for some results, some aspects. But that is not the actual pure devotion. So that's why this verse, when it says Ananya, means without any deviation. Especially our Acharyas quote this that verse from Anyabilashita Sunyam Dana Karmadyanavratam Anukulyena Krishnanusilanam Bhakti Uttama. Ananya Bhakti, Uttama Bhakti, Aikantika Bhakti, Kevala Bhakti. So this is all the same aspect. Akinchana Bhakti. So But here, Anyabhilasha Sunyam means there is one interesting point here. Anya Abhilashita. There itself it is clear. Sunyam. No other desires are there except only pleasing the Supreme Lord. But there is a word used, Anya Abhilashita. Ita. Ita means there is a specific aspect of sadhaka bhaktas like Gajendra or the others. They might be in a distress, in emergency situations, or on a temporary basis, in an emergency situation. They may ask the Lord for protection to save them at those conditions. They are on the sadhaka stage. They are not on the pure conscious stage at that time. They are sadhakas. They are not prema bhaktas. Well, that's why this Ita is used. Ita is used, that means they are also pure devotees, but at sadhaka level. So that's why Ita is used. Otherwise, only in emergency, not every day. They are not asking every day, please cure my disease or this or that, this problem, that problem. No, that is not considered in this Anya Abhilasha, also in pure devotee category. This category is Ita when it is an emergency situation. So then they ask for that. So they are sadhakas. But if you look at the examples of Prahlad Maharaj, Haridas Thakur, Ambarish Maharaj, they are at the Nitya Siddhas. They are not asking, even though Durvas Muni has produced a demon to kill him, he is not asking. He is simply chanting, he is simply in the remembrance of Supreme Lord. Savai Manak Krishna Padar Vendayor, Vaikuntha Vachamsi Gunanu Varnane. He is simply meditating, remembering, is using every part of his body, is using everything in the Lord's service, including his mind. So that is Ananya Cheta Satatam. So they are called Prema Bhaktas, they are already attained, they are Nitya Siddhas. They are not they are not Sadhana Siddhas, they are not Sadhakas, they are not practitioners, they are already attained. So for them, this Ita doesn't come because they never ask for protection either. Because they know Lord will protect, even at the extreme conditions also. Like Prahlad Maharaj is also not asking. So that's why here Anyabhilasita Sunyam Jnana Karma Dhanavrutam. Anukulya Krishna Anusun. It must be favorable. But otherwise the demons are also engaging in thinking of the Lord, but that is unfavorable. So that's why. So there shouldn't be any desire. And then we see that also Kunti Maharani and in many other places we see this analogy is used. So in Kunti Maharani's prayers in verse number 42, chapter 8, canto 1, Srimad Bhagavatam. Tvai me ananya vishaya matir madhupate asakrat. Asakrat means constantly, regularly, like satatam. Ratim udvahatad adda. Adda means directly. Ratim means attraction. Udvahatad means give up. What is to be given up? Skin disease, the material attraction. Otherwise the Pandavas or Vyasdev or their family, they are all devotees. At the level of soul and super soul, there is no problem. She is asking to cut off the external attachment, material attachment, skin attachment. That's what she is asking. Please remove this Vishaya, this material desires, material affections. Tvai me ananya Vishaya. Let me become ananya, purify from these. By having attraction, Matir Madhupate, the Lord is called Madhupati, our temple president, Madhupati Prabhu. So that's how it is. Madhupate means is honey, sweet. The Lord is sweet and he also killed the demon, Madhu. So many different ways that is explained. Asakrut Ratim Budvahat Adda. But the last line is important. Gange Augam Udanvati. Just like the river Ganga flows to the ocean. So same way, let my desires, my mind, everything must flow always to the ocean, to you, to your lotus feet. Let me always think of you. Without any other motives, no karma, no jnana, no yoga, no other benefits. Just simply to please you. So what it means, this rivers coming to ocean, it is not merging. The individuality is there. The key focus river is not holding back anything. That means there might be so many obstacles as the water, river, it might be different streams, it may change because of some stones or whatever, mountains, whatever is there in the middle while going to the ocean. So, but still it will go, it will not stop, it will just go and merge, go into ocean, flow into ocean. If you use merge, then it will be impersonal aspect. People will understand as impersonal. No. It is flowing into the ocean, going deeper. into the ocean. It is not getting evaporated. So that is how the pure devotion is explained by Rupa Goswami and Prabhupada explains in Nectar devotion classes. So that analogy is, so devotee, pure devotee, Ananya means he is not holding back anything. And he doesn't stop any time. Even despite so many difficulties come, so many problems come, as he is practicing the bhakti, he is still going on at the same speed and with enthusiasm, determination and patience is going on. So this is what Kunti Maharani, when she is mentioning throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, this metaphor is used in multiple times. So the river flowing into ocean, desires, transferring of attachment, of material attachment into spiritual attachment, by developing that attraction and attachment. Maya Sakta Mana Parda, Krishna is mentioning, that is also pure devotion. So Krishna mentioned in throughout first chapter, 6 chapters also Krishna is mentioning pure, but indirectly. But in this specific verse is directly talking about directly pure devotion service. So that is very important. So that another place also it is mentioned, Smartavyasa Satato Vishnu Vismartavyasa Najatujit Sarva Vidhi Nishedayor Eta Eva Kinkara. All other rules and regulations, everything will be subordinate under these two. Smartavyasa Satato Vishnu. Always remember Krishna, Vishnu. Vismartavyasa Najatujit. Now Jatujit is used means never, at any time. Time or place, there is no consideration, always remembering. So that means it is over. It like 3 times a day we have to remember sunrise, noon and sunset. All these rules are secondary, because throughout the day we have to remember. Like Madhavendra Puri gives that example, means please somehow forgive me for not doing all these duties. So let me be busy, just simply remembering the Lord 24/7. Let me be not engaged in all these rules. So that he's at that platform, obviously. So that's what here it means. All other rules and regulations will follow, and this is the main principle is always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So that is the principle here is described. Ananya Cheta Satatam. In this verse, whereas Vishwanath Chakravarti is also commenting, Satatam means it is not necessarily always every second. It means every day for sadhakas. And so the two categories in this scenario, pure devotee, when Prabhupada has been asked, who is the pure devotee? Prabhupada said, how many devotees are there in ISKCON? Thousands of devotees. Yes, all of them are considered as pure devotees because they are all practicing. So it means, that means every day, whatever, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, whatever it is, every day, devotee is practicing and thinking of Krishna, chanting or hearing or reading, or engaging in some service, deity worship, whatever, some serving devotees, serving spiritual master. So whatever the case, one form or the other of Navavida Bhakti. So all this considered under this practitioner, bhaktas, sadhaka bhaktas, coming under pure devotee. Satatam means but the pure devotee at the highest level, the prema bhakti, nitya siddha, is always remembering 24, like Prabhupada. So Prabhupada is always remembering. About Krishna, how to execute Krishna's desires and his spiritual master desires, because they are not different. His spiritual master desires is exactly as Krishna's desires. That's why he named as Krishna consciousness. So consciousness of Krishna. So that's what here specifically Ananya Cheta Satatam means. And we see that in the Chaitanya Charitamrita also, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is discussing with, instructing Srila Rupa Goswami, it is mentioned, and Prabhupada is mentioning in the first paragraph verse also about Nishkama, his aspect, where it is mentioned Krishna Bhakta Nishkam Ataiva Shanta, then Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kame Sakala Asant. Those who are karmis, jnanis, yogis, they all are not peaceful because they have some other thing is going on. So that's why there Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining the Kriya is very important to understand. Among human beings, those who are followers of Vedic principles are considered civilized. Among these, almost half simply give lip service while committing all kinds of sinful activities against this principle. Such people do not care for the regulative principle. This is on the seemingly, on the name of Vedas, they are following, but half of the time they are doing lip service. Actual real essence they didn't understand. And on top of it, they are engaging in sinful activity. We'll come to that in a minute about this Ananda Cheta. How we'll come to that? We have to understand that aspect, how to attain that, at least some to the degree, at least theoretically we should understand, then we have to apply in practice. So Veda Nishta Madhya Adheka Veda Mukhe Mane Veda Nishiddha Papa Kare Dharma Nahi Jnane. This is the first category. And further Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining the next category of those who are Karma Sreshta. धर्मचारी मध्ये बहुधा कर्मनिष्ठ कोटि कर्मनिष्ठ मध्ये एक ज्ञानी श्रेष्ठ. Among the followers of Vedic knowledge, most are following the process of fruitive activity and distinguishing between good work and bad work. Out of many such sincere fruitive actors, there may be one who is actually wise. That means out of so many expert karmanishtas, those who are following, engaging fruitive activity, one may be jnani, wise. But out of all of them, again further division, कोटि ज्ञानी मध्य है एक ज्ञानम एक जन मुक्त कोटि मुक्त मध्य दुर्लभ एक कृष्ण भक्त. Out of many millions of such wise men, one may actually become liberal mukta, but out of many millions of such liberated persons, a pure devotee of Lord Krishna is very difficult to find. So that is the same aspect Krishna is speaking. Bahunam janmanam ante gnanavan mam prabhu vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. So that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur on this verse is explaining opposite. Ananya cheta satatam yomam smarata nityam tasyaham sulabha parda nitya yuktasya yoga. That's why satatam and nitya. Satatam means always. Nitya means regularly. That means one day I will do, next day I will not do. So that also will come to that aspect. Satatam and nityam, that is why it is used. That means every day consistently we are doing, at least as a practitioner, few hours. As gradually we progress from anartha nivritti to nishtha, then it will increase gradually. Half day we may remember, more hours. Then as we will come to asakti and bhava stage, then we are almost throughout the day we are remembering. When we come to the Krishna prema, we are 24/7 we are remembering. So it changes, the consciousness changes. So that's why it is very important to understand how rare it is to come to Krishna Bhakti. It is very rare. Now to understand this aspect, Ananya Cheta Satatam, Yomam Smaratya, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining Sudurlabha here in this verse. Opposite is, it is very, Krishna is very easily available for those who are engaged, either practitioner or those who are attained Nitya Siddhas. Krishna is very easily Sulabha. But opposite is, it is very difficult for those Pradhana Bhuta Bhakti. That means those who are following Bhakti is there, but Karma Mishra, Jnana Mishra, Yoga Mishra, for them Krishna is very difficult. Sudurlabha. Sulabha is opposite is Sudurlabha. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, this verse is telling indirectly that it is very difficult for anybody else who is not having that pure desire only to please Krishna. That's when Prabhupada's purport, first division, he at a high level he explained that he doesn't have any karma or jnana or yoga or any mixture, just pure bhakti. That is the final destination. Then he talks about second aspect is worshipping. He might be worshipping Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu in different forms of Lord Krishna, different incarnations, Ramchandra or Narsinga or Vamana, Kurma, Matsya, whatever. So, but it is very simple and easy to obtain. That he is explaining about this Sulabha. Very easy to obtain for those who are practitioners on the platform of purity. And then he talks about Lord reciprocates, Dadami Buddhi Yogantam. That is also explained. Those who are practitioners, Lord is ready to give into. He is also, then Acharyas explain that they will not need to go through miseries like these Karma Mishras, Jnana Mishras, Yoga Mishra. If somebody who is a practitioner but is only desired to please spiritual master and Krishna, he will not go through the miseries. That is the benefit of especially coming to the path of pure devotion. So that is the second aspect Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport. Third aspect Prabhupada is mentioning special qualification. Pure devotee is always thinking of Lord Krishna without any deviation. That means time or place, or he is not looking at whatever he is. That also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one time as he is walking down in Sankirtan, And he came to stop, natural call, he had to go. Then he was catching his mouth with his hands. This mouth always, chants. So now I am using doing nature call. So let me, that's why you are catching, that's the explanation Mahaprabhu gave. Then there was a small boy, Gopal. Then he explained, so what is this? You are supposed to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra at any time, every place. No time or place, nothing, no rule. Then further he said, so what you will do at the time of death? You will also think like that at the time of death? So because at the time of death, so many things are happening. We are not in a pure state of, the body itself, a material external body itself will not be, fear is sometimes people will, when they are passing away, and they will pass urine and whatnot, so many things at the time. It is nothing, it is not in a pure state of even external level, even not a cleanliness also is not there. So what happens to that? So what you will do that? So that then Mahaprabhu said, yes, you are the right candidate. Actually, you are the Guru. Then he has been, later on, he has been named as Gopal Guru Goswami. He has many disciples also later on, he became famous. So you are the right, this is the right, this is correct. At any time, we can chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. There is no regulation, no restrictions whatsoever. So that's why here easily obtainable and no time, place, circumstance. That is the aspect here it is mentioned. Prabhupada is mentioning in the third paragraph in the purport. That's what it is. And then fourth category, Prabhupada is emphasizing that Satatam and Nitya, always, regularly, every day. So we must make sure. And then Prabhupada is emphasizing these 5 aspects, rasas, from Shanta Rasa to Madhurya Rasa. So in this way, this has been explained. So then this is Pradhana Bhuta Bhakti category from Sakama Bhaktas, those who are practitioners, Karma Mishra Bhakti, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, Yoga Mishra Bhakti. Gradually we should come to the pure Bhakti stage. Lord Krishna will take care, as is explained Prabhupada, Dadami Buddhi Yogantam Yanamamapayantam. Krishna will take care of everything. And there was a second category also in this Pradhana Bhuta Bhakti. There is a Gauna Bhuta Bhakti. That means Bhakti is not even the primary, it is not the primary. It is teeny, which is very teeny bit is there. So the primary is how to get the fruitive activity, how to get benefits, whether it's enjoyment of heavenly planets, other things, or they are looking at mystic perfections, or they are looking to get, feed people or open hospitals, doing some philanthropy, they want to get, just engaging in those activities. Somehow these are all, they are looking for all these things, but not actually to serve or please Krishna or spiritual master. That is not. So they are in the Gauna Bhuta Bhakti. They cannot attain. But if they are in the Pradhana Bhuta Bhakti, if the Bhakti is predominant, even though they have some desire, that will gradually lead on to Salokya. Salokya means same planet as Lord Vishnu. They will come to that mostly Sukham and Aishwaryam. They will come to that Aishwarya Bhav, means in the beginning rasa, Shanta Dasya, not further. But those who are coming to the pure devotion, then naturally they will fall into the mostly Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya, first 3 higher categories of rasas. So that is the difference we have to understand, as 7.16 leads on to the Sakama Bhaktas, Pradhana Bhuta Bhakti and Jnana Mishra Bhakti is explained in the 8th chapter, as we see Yoga Mishra Bhakti 9 to 13. Now Krishna is talking about pure devotion. And then later on also we see that in 8.22 is Bhaktiyastu Labhya Ananyaya. One who is engaged in Ananya means without any deviation, without any other desires. Now we have to consider means the 2 things, just like as in King Vena's case, these sages are explaining. Now the people are greatly suffering on both sides. It is like a log is under fire, both sides. One side, so much is so sinful, is so much cruel. Is Vena is killing left and right, is not allowing anybody to engage in sacrifices. So much is doing. And the other side, thieves and rogues are there. So both sides is like both sides fire is going on the log, and in between the ants are there. Where they will go? Either way they go, they will fire. So it is like that. So as we have to engage in everyday business, this Ananya, how will we come? We have to make sure we have to reduce our sinful activities. How will we come? That is only way is to, obviously chanting is there, but importantly we have to associate with devotees, especially associating with the pure devotees. That's why in the 9th chapter, with the first beginning itself, it is mentioned, Mahatmanastu mam pardha daivim prakritam bhajanti ananya manaso gnatva bhotadim avyam. So that will be, even in 9th chapter, this is explained in great detail. That's why Satatam Kettayantoma Rajavijja, that's why 9th chapter is important, because here only some seeds are given of pure bhakti in 8th chapter. And 9th chapter elaborately what this Satatam means. Satatam Kettayantoma, all those aspects are given in the 9th chapter elaborately. That before that, how will you come to that is by associating with pure devotees. One must be under the shelter of pure devotees, bona fide spiritual master. And also, constantly be in the association, always try to serve. Whenever there is opportunity, we must take the association of the saintly people and try to serve them, try to hear. Throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, from beginning to end, you look at it, all examples are pointing to that, whether they are practitioners or pure devotees. Narada Muni, at that time he was a practitioner, seemingly. As Gandharva Upabarahana became a son of a Sudra by the curse of these demigods. And then he was just hearing from Bhakti Vedantis, serving them, taking the remnants, and then that's how he became perfect. He became Narada Muni in the next life. So as we see the examples throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, so all of them are showing mostly is the hearing and chanting and serving these pure devotees, taking their association. That's why Mahatmanastu Mam Partha is very, very important. So otherwise there is no way we can attain, because through sadhana bhakti it is very difficult to obtain, but through sadhana along with krupa, we need krupa, we have to become krupa siddha, that mercy. Through the mercy, Prabhupada is also explaining in another purport that we cannot develop attachment to Krishna without the mercy of Krishna. How will we get mercy of Krishna? It is very rare to get mercy of Krishna, but it is easy to get mercy of pure devotee. Yes, by their blessing, by serving them, by pleasing them. So that's why whenever sannyasis come or any devotees come, we should try to serve them, we should hear them. Naturally also every day, even though they may not be very senior, but still we should serve them, we should please them. So this way Lord is getting pleased, and Sri Prabhupada is being pleased by seeing our mood and attitude. That is the only way we can develop, we can receive the mercy. It is not some magic that mercy will come just like that. So that's why it's very important is that aspect. And naturally then sinful activity will be curtailed by the mercy of pure devotees, that sinful mentality, the proclivity in the heart. If we don't use the opportunity, as festivals are coming, as many senior exalted Vaishnavas are giving classes, whether on Zoom, sometimes in person also. If you don't utilize it, then imagine. That's why the priority must be taken. That's why this smart, always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna is the topmost priority. If that is the priority, then automatically everything will fall in place in our life. But if that is not in the priority, then everything will be topsy-turvy. One day we do, one day we will not do. Naturally, as we are in the material world, naturally problems will continue. Whatever, depending on our circumstance, past, previous karma, we will go through all those things, whatever we have to go through. But when this is in the priority, then natural, those will be very, very minimal. It doesn't affect us. Even though problems are there, it doesn't bother us, it doesn't affect us internally. Externally, seemingly, they may be still going on. So that is what is the biggest difference. Those who are practicing pure devotion, those who are not practicing pure devotion. So they will not need to go through miseries. Prabhupada is clearly mentioning that in this purport also, and our Acharya Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and others also mentioning, Baladev Vidya Bhushan is mentioning this aspect. And so that's the two ends. The first end, one end is the sinful activity, other end must go on engaging in the, associating with sadhus and engaging in devotion service on a regular basis, every day, consistently we must do. And then offenses, the two fire, we are burning with the one side is sinful activity, the other side is the offenses. Offenses to devotees especially, and saintly people and demigods also, we should be careful. And then in the middle we must associate. In this way we can actually progress in devotion service. It is like every day when you brush the teeth, What we are supposed to, only generally we may brush teeth once in the morning. But we are supposed to brush the teeth as Prabhupada used to do that. In the night, before we sleep, at least, if not every time we take a meal, before night, we have to brush again. What will happen if not? We have to go to dentist. More we wait, more we don't do regularly every day, then it accumulates. All the things are in between the teeth. Then it will become, it will go through even the roots. Even the root canal will spoil. Then they have to remove even root canal. And there's so much trouble and pain. Sometimes even it gets even worse. So more we wait and more we don't follow the natural rules of disease for the material problems. And imagine if we don't do that process of the self-realization, the pure devotion as Sri Prabhupada is giving through the parampara. If we don't do, then sinful activity keep on going on. There is no stop. The actual proclivities will never be removed from our heart. And it is those four kinds of categories, prarabdha, kotam, bijam, all these will never be annihilated. And then we will continue on going on. It is just like putting water. And then we will going on again and again. This mentality, activity is going on. So that's why it is very important. It must be done at any cost. Well, 10 minutes a day, whatever, but something has to be done. Gradually it must be increased, but consistently we must make sure that whatever time, whether it's 10 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, that should go on. That's why this Damodar month, Purushottam month, what it gives us facility that 1 month you do, we should be able to do, but the rest of the year, if you follow that, then it will be great mercy. Because you are already practicing, if you can implement that maybe little lesser degree, maybe it may be too much. If you continue on the same, it may affect the family, but we have to see. But at least that is the facility these months, special festivals are giving, that naturally our attraction, our attachment, our priorities has to be shifted and changed. That's what. When Kunti Maharani is praying, what she is telling is, attachment to the family, she is not telling that remove it, renounce. Rather, it should be at a spiritual level, not on a material level. Because material level means it will always be thinking about something or other benefits. So it is not really giving any higher benefit for even to the other family members. But if you are acting on the spiritual platform, then it will benefit even to them. As it is explained in the King Mruga story, 21 generations, 10 generations before, 10 generations after, you can read that. Where Prabhupada is quoting 21 generations, this is where it is. King Mruga story in Krishna book, you go and read, very, very important lessons are given in that. So there Prabhupada is quoting the 21 generations by engaging in pure devotion. So that's why it is very, so much important benefits are there. So that's why we must take this shelter, and regularly we must do. Cleanliness as we have to do with the teeth, otherwise we have to visit dentist and so much we have to face problems. More we not do it. So that's why, and that means we have to curtail the sinful activities by associating with the devotees and more, and then hear and follow this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's process as Sri Prabhupada is giving. So in this way we will be able to come to this Sulabha. It will become very easy to obtain Krishna and especially first mercy and then attain Krishna Prema in this way. Otherwise it is very, very difficult. So that's what this verse means. Already 804.